Hello to you, I am ASMR Whittle, and I hope all of you are having a great weekend, and I hope it's been a relaxing and good day so far. So today I thought we could do something we haven't done in a while, and that is facts about Norway. Because as some of you know, I'm a Norwegian, and my name is Wheatley in Norwegian, or as I would say in Norwegian, Vetle. My name is Vetle. Vetle. Vitle. That's my name. So, and that's a old Nordic Norwegian name. So before I begin, I just want to say I think there are a lot of interesting countries out there, like the United States, the United Kingdom, Sweden, France, Australia, lots of countries, New Zealand and Japan, Japan, and lots of interesting countries, you know. So wherever you're from, whichever country you're from, if you want to just write a comment about things in your country, feel free to do so. I think it's interesting to read about other countries. But in this video, I'm going to talk specifically about Norway, my home country, for those of you who are interested in that. Now, for some of my older subscribers, you've probably seen these videos before, and there's not going to be a lot of new facts in these videos, just mostly the same facts I've told in previous videos about Norway. But for my more recent subscribers who want to learn about Norway, hope you enjoy. Okay, and maybe it can even be relaxing and good and comforting just hearing me talk about my home country. I don't know. Anyway, let's just begin. I brought a Norwegian flag, so I thought we could begin with that. Okay, so here is the Norwegian flag. Yay, I feel very proud when I look at it. I love the Norwegian flag. I think it's beautiful. So this is the Norwegian flag right here. And I'm going to bring it back afterwards for one of the facts. Okay. So I think we shall begin with the climate of Norway, because we're going to go with 7 facts about Norway today. And we'll begin with fact 1, the climate. So in Norway, the climate is colder than in a lot of places and countries in the world. You know, Norway is in the northern part of the world. And because of that, our winters are often long and dark. Generally, our winters have a tendency to last from like October to April. So usually spring doesn't arrive properly before in April sometime. And winters often begin around mid to late October, sometimes early November. It varies from year to year. However, due to the cold, our houses and infrastructure and everything is built to withstand low temperatures, you know, because at the coldest during winters it can get very cold and chilly in Norway. And even during summertime, usually the evenings can be cold. Unless we're in a heat wave period, of course. Yeah. So, yeah. But one of the positive things about that cold is that during Christmas time we often, not every year, but often get magical snowy Christmas landscapes. So that's very cozy and nice. Of course, on the flip side, the snow does often not melt before in late March or mid-April. So we often get a lot of snow during our years. But during summer, it's green and warm and nice, especially in daytime. And although nighttime in Norway, even during summer, can be kind of cold, at least during summer it's green and typical summer stuff. So yeah, but essentially in Norway the climate is colder and thus the temperatures are often a little colder, which is incidentally also why I'm wearing a sweater right now, because it's actually not super warm right now. No, it's not super cold either, but it's kind of like in between. Anyway, so well, that was the first fact about Norway. The next fact is our systems, political systems and stuff like that. So we're going to go to the second fact. Norway has a king. Our current king is King Harald. He is the son of the previous king, and King Harald has been king since 1991, when his father, the previous king, died. And he will be succeeded by Prince Haakon, Crown Prince Haakon, who again will be succeeded by his daughter Ingrid Alexandria, and she will be the first queen of Norway in quite some time, and the first queen of the nation of Norway. So Norway has had kings or monarchy, since 1905, when Norway dissolved its union with Sweden and became fully independent. Now it should be pointed out that Norway did have kings during the Viking era and many centuries ago, but when Norway became ruled by Denmark for many centuries, and those didn't have its own kings for many centuries. And then we were in a union with Sweden for another century, and then finally in 1905 Norway once again got its own king, and that was a big moment for Norway. So yeah, King Harald is the third king since 1905. So yeah, and he's also a very popular king actually. So our king is a ceremonial figure. He can't make any political decisions and stuff like that, but he formally appoints governments based on election results. Yeah, and has a lot of ceremonial duties. He is a very respected and unifying figure in Norway. And because of that, the concept of a republic with a president is right now not that popular in Norway. Most people in Norway will prefer to rather keep our king and monarchy, and that's of course because our king is very popular. Okay, so that was that part. Now we're going to the third fact about Norway, which is our actual political system, the parliamentary system. So in Norway, our parliament is called the Storting, which is where our representatives make political decisions and stuff like that. And then we have a government which consists of the ruling political parties, which are determined by coalition agreements and election results. So in Norway we have fixed terms, and there are elections every fourth year. It is not possible to call a new election, the terms are fixed. So we have elections every fourth year. The last election was in 2021, and the next general election, or parliamentary election, will be in 2025, and the next after that in 2029, and so on and so on. We also have local elections every fourth year. The last local election was 2023, and the next local election will be in 2027. So all elections are essentially at odd numbered years. There are no elections at even numbered years. So this year there is no elections in Norway. Due to our fixed terms, we are very used to prime ministers who are who sit out their periods, but we don't necessarily have to. There have been times in Norwegian history when governments have collapsed. That's possible. And if that happens, often the opposition will move in as the ruling parties instead. But usually our prime ministers will sit out the 4-year periods. So the prime ministers in recent times have usually come from one of the two big political parties in Norway, and our current prime minister is Jonas Gahr Støre. He has been prime minister since 2021, and he is the leader of the leading left party of Norway, the Labour Party. He has been leader of the Labour Party since 2014, and he was a prime minister. He was the prime minister candidate in 2017, but the left didn't win that election, so yeah, he stayed leader of the opposition. But when in 2021 the left party, no, the left side of politics won majority in parliament, and Jonas Gahr Støre was elected prime minister. The leader of the right party, the main conservative party, is Erna Solberg, and she was prime minister of Norway for 8 years, from 2013 to 2021. She and the conservative parties of politics won the 2013 and 2017 election, and now Erna Solberg and the Conservatives are hoping to return to government in 2025 by beating Støre and the left side of politics. So essentially Solberg was elected in 2013, re-elected in 2017, and she attempted to be re-elected in 2021 but didn't succeed at that. But now she's hoping to return in 2025. So yeah, so that's essentially how our parliamentary elections work. There are no term limits for the two party leaders, so they can run for endless terms, but usually they eventually retire and let someone new take over. So Støre will run for his third election as prime minister candidate in 2025, and Solberg, she will run for the 6th, I believe. I believe she ran the first time in 2005. She has been party leader of Right, the Conservative Party, for a long time. And in Norwegian politics, the left side and the Labour Party is often associated with the color red. And the right and the Labour Party, the left side and the Labour Party is often associated with the color red. And the right side and the Conservative Party is often associated with the color blue. So that's essentially our political system of Norway. And yeah. We also have a justice system, but this justice system, the judges and stuff like that in the justice system, the courts, cannot make any political decisions. No, the justice system stands separate from the political systems. It is the job of the parliament to hold the politicians of the ruling government parties accountable. It is the job of the opposition. And right now, Erna Solberg and the various conservative parties, in addition to a few other parties, are the opposition, while the governing parties are a centrist party and the mainstream left Labour Party. So, okay, I think that's been more than enough about our country's parliamentary system, but now you know how that works. Let's move on to something more interesting, the fourth fact. Or Constitution Day, National Day, because we are getting very close to National Day now. 17th of May is coming up, and I'm just going to get the Norwegian flag now. th of May is coming up, and it's Constitution Day, and in Norway you're going to see a lot of these flags on Constitution Day. So it's because we are celebrating our 210th year as a nation this year. So our constitution comes from 1814. Back then, Norway was ruled by Denmark, but Denmark was on the losing side of the Napoleonic Wars, and thus they had to give up Norway and give Norway to Sweden. And when that happened, Norway saw a chance, and thus a bunch of prominent Norwegian citizens at the time gathered at Eidsvoll, at a building in Eidsvoll, and they declared independence and a Norwegian constitution. And this was formally signed or declared on the 17th of May 1814. Sweden didn't entirely accept Norwegians' independence, so Norway was forced into a union with Sweden, but it still formed the fundament for Norway's later full independence, and in 1905 the union with Sweden was dissolved and Norway became fully independent. And because of that, well, Norway is a nation. We are a small country, but we're proud of it. Yeah. So, now, Norwegian National Day is a cool and interesting affair. During National Day, the adults will usually, a lot of adults anyway, will usually go to the various cities and towns and watch the children's parade. Because in Norway, we have a very special concept of children's parade. So when people in Norway are childs, including me actually, when we're young, we will often participate in a parade organized by the various schools. And I was also once participating in these parades. And these are children parades, and they consist of children from 6 to 12, 13 years old. I believe you can choose to participate in them even when you're 13 and 14 years old. And what the children do is they go in parades through the cities and towns, sing songs, Norwegian national songs, and say hip hurrah while waving with Norwegian flags, like I'm doing now. And yeah, so you can see I have this in me, and the reason for that is I did this every year when I was a child. Every 17th May when I was a child, except for 1 year I believe, I did this. I participated in the parades. And of course there are a lot of proud parents and stuff watching their children. These parades usually go in the morning and early daytime. And after the parades are done, people will go for ice cream or go home and eat food like sausages and stuff like that, hot dogs, stuff like that, and cakes. And of course, as I just said, it's a long-standing tradition in Norway to eat ice cream on 17th of May. And sometimes in the evening people will go for a pizza, go out and eat a pizza, so it's a day of celebration, essentially. It should also be pointed out that for people who are 18 years old, there is something called Russ. And Russ is for the people in their final year of college. And this is essentially a youth and party culture. People who are Russ have their own cars. They are dressed in some very special clothes. I can't entirely explain it, but it's sort of these red pants, red hats and stuff like that. And they will often they will often drive around in party buses and stuff like that, and there is a lot of celebrations in the weeks up to and after 17th of May. But the main celebration, I believe, is for the Russ, often on the evening, the 16th of May. And then they often also participate or have their own Russ parade during midday on the 17th of May. And this is a more lively affair. So yeah, so if you're a teen in Norway and you're in your final year of college, you can be a Russ. And you can participate in that party culture. Admittedly, I did not do that when I was 18 years old because it wasn't entirely my thing, but a lot of people do. So, the next fact is going to be about Norway's history. So, like many countries, Norway has a war. You know, often in various countries, when you say the war, we are often referring to that country's main war of the past. Like in the United Kingdom, when people say the war, they often probably mean the Blitz of the 1930s. In the US, when people say the war and they're referring to their own country, they're probably often thinking about the Civil War of the 1860s. When we in Norway say the war, we're thinking about the 1940s, because 80 years ago there was war in Norway. In 1940, Nazi Germany invaded Norway on the 9th of April 1940. That day, Norway was invaded. Our government and royal family managed to escape. They were attempted captured, but they managed to escape to England and was in exile in England during the years of the occupation, because Norway was, like many countries in Europe, occupied by Nazi Germany for 5 years, from 1940 to 1945. 8th of May is Liberation Day in Norway, because on the 8th of May 1945 the Nazis retreated and most Norway was free again, and our actual government and royal family got to return. But during the years of the war, Nazi Germany and the Norwegian Fascist Party, the National Party, ruled Norway. They were led, the National Party of Norway was led by a guy called Vidkun Quisling. And on the day of the invasion, 9th of April 1940, Quisling made a rather infamous speech, which is well remembered in Norwegian history. He went to a radio station and declared that he was the new prime minister and that the National Party was the new government. Essentially, it was a full-scale coup-like speech. And he also sat as prime minister on behalf of the National Party and the Nazi occupiers several times during the occupation. He is not considered a legitimate prime minister in Norwegian history. He is not considered legitimate. But when our actual government returned, Quisling was caught and he was considered a traitor to Norway, and he was executed along with other prominent members of the National Party. So Quisling has become a name synonymous with traitor. So if you wonder where the whole Quisling thing comes from, which now in modern times has come to mean traitor, it comes from Norway and Norwegian history. Because it is considered in Norway that Quisling, when he allied with the occupiers, betrayed his country. So yeah, well, but thankfully peace returned, the occupation was ended, and Norway was free again. And and we're very proud of being free again. But even today, we at school learn about the war and the 1940s. It's a very central part of Norwegian history. So it's an important part we learn about in Norwegian schools. Just like other important years in Norwegian history, like 1814, 1905, and the age of Vikings and Norse mythology, and of course the 1940s, the war. That's sort of some of the very important stuff in Norwegian history, which we learn about in Norwegian schools. So let's move on to the sixth fact. Okay, so to the sixth fact. When it comes to our social norms and stuff like that, for those of you who want to visit Norway, remember what Norwegians, while we can be very friendly and polite when you talk to us, we can seem at times maybe a little cold and asocial in comparison to certain other warmer countries. You know, it isn't always as usual in Norway to see people on the street say hi to each other or stuff like that. But if you go up and talk to a Norwegian, most Norwegians will be very polite and nice if you like ask for directions and stuff like that. And in Norway we love hiking, and there is actually an unwritten social rule in Norway, but when you hike in the woods and stuff like that, you are often supposed to say hello to people you walk past in the woods and stuff like that. So that rule exists, but this rule is not the case in towns and cities. No. But Norwegians are very friendly if you just go up and talk with them. But remember something, don't be too personal, like you can ask about everyday stuff and stuff like that, but don't start by asking about too personal things, because that can make many Norwegians a little uncomfortable if you do that. You know, Norwegians are people you have to sort of get to know more gradually. There are exceptions to this rule, but some Norwegians can get a little suspicious if you start asking them way too personal questions the first time you meet them. So it's better to keep it to very, very everyday normal stuff the first time. And if you need help with directions, most Norwegians will be friendly, I suspect, and help you with that. If you need to find some place, you know, or need help with directions, most people will be friendly. So yeah, and of course, when it should also be pointed out that when Norwegians sit on a bus, it's not usual for Norwegians to talk with the person sitting next to them, so our buses can seem very quiet and a little cold at times in terms of social stuff. But perhaps because we're used to a more colder climate, we're kind of colder socially at first glance, but when you get to know us, we can be very friendly and warm. So essentially, don't judge a book by its covers. No. I hope you guys understood what I meant. So yeah, well, let's move on to the seventh and final fact. The chocolate of Norway. I just wanted to add that. It's a fun final fact I just wanted to add. So the chocolate of Norway is, well, I love Norwegian chocolate. And there are particularly three Norwegian chocolate brands which are very dominant. And they are Freia, Nidar and Minde. But Freia is perhaps the biggest, and I'm not sure we are the oldest, but we are at least the most dominant and biggest chocolate brand. And they often have these chocolate wrappers with Norwegian motifs like cows and stuff like that, or fairy tales sometimes. I'm going to show you a typical Norwegian Freia chocolate motif wrapper. So yeah, so here it is. This is a milk roll chocolate, one of the more famous chocolates of Norway, eaten by a lot of people. The milk roll, and you can see the traditional motifs. You can see the cows here. I'm just going to, yeah, and you can see sort of the yellow wrapping and the whole traditional Norwegian stuff, you know. You can also see snow-capped mountains, sort of in the back here. So yeah, So, and this is a very traditional and typical Norwegian chocolate wrapper. So, and these are chocolate rolls. Where small chocolates will look like this. They're a variant of the standard Norwegian milk chocolate. They're very good. So yeah. Well, okay, and here you can see the Freya, the brand, you know. Okay, well, I believe that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video about me talking about the random Norwegian facts. I don't expect most of you watched all of it, and I get that, you know, I talked for way too long now. But for those of you who just wanted to have some insight into Norwegian culture and stuff like that, I hope this was at least a little bit interesting, and sorry if I talked too much about it. But feel free to write about your own countries in the comments if you wish. Wish you guys all the best and a great weekend. Thank you.